Okay, today, St. George's Day, well, usually it is on the 23rd of April, but this year, at least in our country here where I am located, it is celebrated today on the 25th of April. So let's see some buildings dedicated to St. George. But before we do that, let's learn a little bit about this very important saint. So St. George, well, actually, he was not born. He died on the 23rd of April, 303. And only I explained why we pay homage to him today on the 25th in 2022. Also, George of Lira was a Christian who is venerated as a saint in Christianity. According to tradition, he was a soldier in the Roman army. Saint George was a soldier of Cappadocian Greek origin and member of the Praetorian Guard for Roman Emperor Diocletian, who was sentenced to death for refusing to recant his Christian faith. That is, George, Saint George. He became one of the most venerated saints and megalomartyrs in Christianity, and he has been especially venerated as a military saint since the Crusades. In hagiography, as one of the 14 holy helpers and one of the most proeminent military saints, he is immortalized in the legend of St. George and the Dragon. His memorial, St. George's Day, is traditionally celebrated on April 23rd. Historically, the countries of England, Ethiopia, Georgia, Catalonia, and Aragon in Spain, and Moscow in Russia have claimed George as their patron saint, as have several other regions, cities, universities, professions, and organizations. The bones of St. George are buried in the Church of St. George, Lord Israel. And I will launch a competition, a house for St. George, because I was very moved about the tradition in Barcelona, in Catalonia, probably in general, to celebrate on his day, on his anniversary, books and red flowers that are so sensuous, but anyway, it's a subject that interests me. This meeting between fragile flowers and books. Saint George was indeed a soldier, and that's why he's considered a military saint. And worldwide, there are so many George and with derivative names from him that indeed he is a very important saint in Christianity. Here he is, fighting with the dragon and winning. Now we'll go through some buildings dedicated to Saint George. Saint George Church in Drohobych in Ukraine. Let's hope it will not be bombed by the Russians, but it is a magnificent wooden church by any standards. I don't know when it was built. Ukraine. St. George Rock Cut Church in Ethiopia. This is an incredible church. Look at it. It is cut into the earth, and it's one of the most, amazing churches in the world in Ethiopia, and is dedicated to St. George. Look at it. This is the church here. So you see, formidable buildings exist not only in the so-called developed countries, but also in all over the world. And Ethiopia has a long history. But the unusualness of this church makes it stand out without doubt. Beautiful church. I love it. And in a way, the fact that it is sunken makes the people using it for the I'm sorry, for the religious service, makes them more modest, which I think is appropriate. The interior, has I like even the informality, and you see all these pictures are with Saint George, the Saint George on the white horse, and with the spire, killing the dragon. Ethiopia, Africa, great building, and I would say amazingly modern, not just in terms of form or aesthetics, but also in terms of meaning. I love this church. Now, St. George Church in Kostolani, a very simple plan, a church in order to be, to provoke emotions, doesn't have to be wide or long or huge. It can be a very small church. The important thing is the emotional content, the intensity of emotions that one had building it, or those who built it. I go rather quickly because we have two more presentations. The next ones will be on the great Renaissance architect Alberti, as he was considered the first architect, as at least as Europe considers things. He also died on the 25th of April. I say also, but rather wrongly, because St. George died actually on April 23rd. Église Saint-Georges de Garde. This is a modern St. George church in France, I think, and it's not bad. A church can very well express longing for the absolute, for God, and intense feelings in a modern architectural language. Another St. George Church, larger one. Another one also in France. Another one in France. They are everywhere in the world, because St. George was an inspirational saint indeed. This one is in Slovenia, St. George Parish Church in Piran, a beautiful setting near the sea. And what else can we say? It's almost, because of the campanile, perhaps it's almost as if it is in Venice. So it's Slovenia, and here it is. The proximity of the sea makes it indeed very special, I would say. This is a cathedral in Piran. This actually is very similar to a temple that Alberti built, and you are going to see it in Rimini, Italy. San Giorgio Maggiore, Monet, by Monet. This is a painting by the famous French painter Monet. San Giorgio, of course, means Saint George. Now, we'll see the real building by Andrea Palladio, Basilica San Giorgio Maggiore in Venice, a very important work by Palladio. Venice. So Andrea Palladio, San Giorgio Maggiore. Chiesa di San Giorgio Pordenone, an interesting church, rather austere somehow, the front elevation, but still imposing. Another San Giorgio church. Duomo di San Giorgio in Sicily, Sicilian Baroque, St. George Kirche in Hamburg. Serbia, St. George Church of Oplenak. We feel it is closer to our land, to our country, because of the, the specifics of its architecture. Also, the horror vacui of the interior, it's almost no square inch or square centimeter is left uncovered. Very different from San Giorgio Maggiore, for example, which has maybe an excessive amount of whiteness. The walls are clean, but here we are almost in a different world. We cannot conceive of a building of a church with no so-called pictures or icons on the walls. One in Stuttgart, modern and rather moving. Germany has incredible modern churches built before the war and also after the war. Another one with a modernistic addition at the top, but I like the tension between the old and the new. The spire is new. Frankfurt. Another one in Germany. This is a Catholic church. Another one. There are many in almost every country. There are several dedicated to the military saint, St. George. Now one in Bucharest, in Romania, the church St. George, the new. I like these small churches that Romania has, and I'm not saying this, for patriotic reasons or maybe for that too, but they are distinct because of their, less ambitious dimensions. But I think again, architecture is about quality, not about quantity. And there is a certain mystery at the interior. Well, I don't know if so much here, but maybe even here, you know, it's true. There is an opulence of imagery in the inside, which makes these churches distinct from, you know, other churches in different parts of the world. A cathedral in Guyana, St. George Cathedral. Rather interesting at the interior. Limburg, St. George Cathedral. Ukraine, Ukraine again. Let's hope it escapes the miserable, tragic, tragic bombings of Russia. It's beyond me how Russia could claim that Ukraine is their land and the Ukrainians are Russians. Then why do they bomb them? Another St. John's Cathedral in Poland. You can see the variety of expressions, architectural expressions. In Eritrea, a futuristic building in Eritrea, in Africa, where there was an important influence from the Italian futurists, and I imagine the architect was Italian for this unusual building. So this is in Africa, it's not in Italy, but the architect, I think, is Italian. Manhattan, New York City, the Episcopal Church, St. George, massive, big as Manhattan is. Manhattan has the largest cathedral in the world, that is St. John the Divine Cathedral. St. George Orthodox Church in India, in Kochi. This is also interesting, I would say. It's an interesting building, built in India for the same important saint, military saint, St. George. I like this building. And as you can see, it was built with simple means, but the architecture is not simplistic. This is the plan of this church in India. It's a very simple plan, but the architectural expression is not so simple or simplistic. No, not at all.